in stark contrast to your mission to connect people. Explain to us how you guys thought this idea was a good idea. Explain with the people, give them more negative information, positive information.
Well, Congressman, I view our responsibility as not just building services that people like to use, but making sure that those services are also good for people and good for society overall. At the time, there were a number of questions about whether people seeing content that was either positive or negative on social networks was affecting their mood. And we felt like we had a responsibility to understand whether that was the case, because we don't want to have that effect, right? We don't want to have it so that we want use of social media and our products to be good for people's well-being. And we continually make changes to that effect. Including just recently, this year, we did a number of research projects that showed that when social media is used for building relationships, so when you're interacting with people, it's associated with a lot of positive effects of well-being that you'd expect. It makes you feel more connected, less lonely. It correlates with long-term measures of happiness and health. Whereas if you're using social media or the internet just to passively consume content, then that doesn't have those same positive effects or can even be negative. So we've tried to shift the product more towards helping people interact with friends and family as a result of that. So that's an example of the kind of work that we do.
Well, that's a question. I believe I've heard you employ 27,000 people thereabouts. Is that correct?
Yes.
I've also been told that 20,000 of those people, including contractors, do work on data security. Is that correct?
Yes, the 27,000 number is full-time employees, and the security and content review includes contractors, of which there are tens of thousands.
Okay, so roughly at least half your employees are dedicated to security practices. How can Cambridge Analytical happen with so much of your workforce dedicated to these causes? How'd that happen?
Well, Congressman, the issue with Cambridge Analytica and Alexander Kogan happened before we ramped those programs up dramatically. But one thing that I think is important to understand overall is just the sheer volume of content on Facebook makes it so that no amount of people that we can hire will be enough to review all of the content. We need to rely on and build sophisticated AI tools that can help us flag certain content. And we're getting good in certain areas. One of the areas that I mentioned earlier was terrorist content, for example, where we now have AI systems that can identify and take down 99% of the Al-Qaeda and ISIS-related content in our system before a human even flags it to us. I think we need to do more of that.
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr.